Congratulations on choosing to become a professional dog trainer. Each week I'll be posting a video with supporting text that will help you become a successful professional dog trainer. And if you follow this series, you'll learn about dog training terminology, training equipment, and how to use it, dog psychology, the three primary principles of dog training, the different types of training, the science of teaching your dog any command, corrections, when and how to use them, dealing with fear and aggression, confidence building, using counter conditioning and desensitization, proper socializing, imprinting, reading body language, competition obedience, working with clients, starting your business, and much more. I'll also be offering written tests that you can download from home to help you become the best dog trainer possible. I would also recommend getting a new puppy that you can train and imprint throughout this series. And if you need one-on-one help, you can always schedule a Zoom session, and I'll be sure to provide that information in the description below. So let's not waste any more time and get started. If you're learning a new skill or profession, it's important to know and understand the industry's terminology. Dog training is no different. There is the basic terminology, and you'll learn more throughout the course, but keep in mind, as a professional, we want to seek a complete understanding in all aspects of dog training. Temperament. This is your dog's personality, makeup, or nature that will determine its training process. Disposition. Your dog's genetic behavioral tendencies that may also determine its training process. Reactive versus proactive dogs. This is in reference to obedience training. A reactive dog will wait to see a reward before complying with the command. You ask the dog to down and the dog doesn't lay down. You then pull out a treat and the dog downs. Therefore, the reward motivated the dog's behavior. A proactive dog understands that their behavior has an effect on their environment. With a proactive dog, the behavior is the driving force for the reward, meaning they will do things even without the reward readily visible. Operant conditioning. This is also known as instrumental conditioning. And in the dog world, it's a method of learning that occurs through rewards and punishment for behaviors. It's how a dog, or even a human, makes an association between a particular behavior and its consequence. Classical conditioning. A word or sound that predicts a reward or even a correction. At first, the sound is just a meaningless stimuli. But if the sound always precedes a reward or a correction, then the dog will learn what it means. And so the dog will become classically conditioned to the sound. Positive reinforcement. This is when you reward your dog for performing a behavior that you would like for your dog to repeat. Positive punishment. This is when you use a correction, such as popping on a leash, to reduce the occurrence of a behavior. Negative punishment. This is when you remove something of value from your dog. For example, you're petting your dog and your dog jumps up, so you stop petting your dog. By removing the reward of petting, you would be implementing negative punishment. Negative reinforcement. This is when pressure is applied and it is only turned off when the dog complies. Primary reinforcer. This will be the primary reward you give your dog when they do a behavior you like. A primary reward could be food, toy, or affection. Condition reinforcer, mark or a marker sound. This is a word or sound that has been classically conditioned to predict a reward. It's called a marker because it signifies that you are marking a moment in time when your dog is right or wrong. Continuation marker. This is a sound that lets the dog know they will be receiving a reward. Sound equals reward. Terminal marker. This is a sound that lets your dog know they will be receiving a reward, but it also guarantees a release. Sound equals release and reward. Non-reinforcement marker. This is a signal for negative punishment, which means withholding the reward from your dog until your dog does the behavior correctly. This is for mistakes. Your dog must understand that they can make a mistake and try again. You don't want your dog to be afraid of trying something new. Condition correction. This is a word or sound that lets the dog know they will be receiving a correction. Sound equals correction. Distribution hand. This is the hand you will use to deliver rewards to your dog. Supply hand, this is the hand that you will use to hold extra rewards for your dog. Keep in mind that your supply hand and your distribution hand can be interchangeable. Overshadowing, also known as pairing. When two or more stimuli are presented to the dog, one produces a stronger response and overshadows the objective. In other words, when teaching a dog a command, the command must come before the physical cue, or one will overshadow the other. This means all physical cues and commands must be performed separately from each other. If you pair your physical cue with your command, then the physical cue will override the command and your dog will never learn the command. For example, telling your dog to go down while pointing to the floor at the same time. This would be incorrect. You would rather say the command and then point to the ground. This is what creates a predictable pattern that the dog can learn from. Luring. This is when you use food to guide your dog into the desired position. And once your dog is in that position, you would release the reward to your dog, implementing positive reinforcement. Chasing. This is when you make your dog chase food that is in your hand to increase food drive, prey drive, play drive, and make the training more fun for your dog. You can also have your dog chase toys to build your dog's toy drive. Physical cue. This is a signal to perform a behavior, such as with luring or leash pressure. Fixed shaping, also known as shaping. This is when you have a training goal in mind, but you're letting your dog figure out what you want instead of directly showing your dog. Free shaping. This is when you don't have a particular training goal in mind and you simply watch your dog to see if your dog will perform a behavior that you like. For example, your dog does a cute stretch in the morning when they wake up, and you can mark this action. After enough repetitions, when your dog will start to offer up that behavior for rewards. This is also a great way to create that proactive dog we were talking about. Leash pressure. This is when we use the leash to guide our dog into specific positions. It should really be called a leash cue. Once the pressure of the leash is turned on, it can't be turned off until the dog complies. Once the dog complies, then the pressure must instantly be turned off. This is a form of negative reinforcement. It's incredibly powerful. Command. A command can be physical or verbal. It is telling the dog that they need to do what is being asked of them. A command is non-option for the dog and the human, meaning if you give your dog a command, you better be willing to reinforce that command if your dog chooses not to do it. Leash pop. This is when you make a snapping motion with the dog's leash to engage the training collar to give the dog a correction. This would be an example of positive punishment. Value transfer. This is when your dog has something of value and you use something of equal value to get that item from your dog. It's like you're making a trade with your dog. So it's essential to give your dog the other item when you use this technique. Otherwise, your dog can lose trust in you. Not to mention, this is also a great technique to teach the drop it command. Counter conditioning. This means training an animal to display a different behavior than its current reaction to a stimulus. Simply put, we take something that the dog may not like and we change the way they feel about it by predicting something pleasant. For example, a dog that is afraid of the mail carrier can learn to enjoy the mail carrier if the dog is given a high value reward every day when the mail carrier comes by. The dog would start to associate the reward with the mail carrier. Desensitization. This is the process of exposing the dog to a stimulus beginning at a very low intensity. As the dog gets more comfortable with the stimuli, the intensity can be increased. You have to be careful not to increase the intensity too quickly, or you could end up making the dog more sensitive to the stimulus. For example, if a dog is highly reactive to other dogs, I may allow the dog to see other dogs while walking around or while standing outside of a dog park for a few hours until they've been so exposed to other dogs that it's not an exciting stimuli anymore. We've desensitized the dog to it. Now, if you want to learn more about dog training, I do have over 140 training videos on my channel that are available to learn from right now. I would also recommend downloading and ordering a copy of my dog training manual. I took many of the lessons that I've learned over the years and I put them in a format that is easy to understand and, more importantly, easy to implement. Be sure to check out my store, NateSchoemerShop.com. Support the channel through my Patreon account. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And lastly, let me know what you think about this series in the comments section. Is this something that you've been looking for, or are there any specific videos you would like to see to help you with your dog training journey? And remember, if you can learn the science, you can master the art. I'll see you next week.